Welcome back to the Global Local Top Tips, and today, roast pork. What can be better than a beautiful roast pork with crackling, some buttered vegetables and confit potatoes? This is exactly what I'm going to show you today. Let's get stuck in. Now let's start off with our pork. I've been asked so many times what's the best way to get crackling on pork, and there's so many different ways, but as always the simplest way is always the best. So we've got our piece of pork here. I've got a pork boned and rolled here. It would be exactly the same process for pork belly. So now some olive oil, about 4 tablespoons of olive oil all up. You don't want to be afraid of it, you really can't put on too much. Some salt. And you just really want to go to town on the salt, because the salt really helps get the crackling. And then just rub it in. Into the oven, 180 for 1 hour 30 minutes. For some examples on how long you should be cooking meat, I've written a small chart below this video. For my pork today, it weighs 1 kilo. So I'm going to be cooking it for 30 minutes for every half kilo plus 30 minutes onto the end. So for my pork today, it's going to be cooking for an hour and a half. 30 minutes plus 30 minutes plus 30 minutes. I've given this simple chart of different meats all the way through, just to give you a fair idea of how long you should be cooking meat. So let's get on to our veggies. I'm going to do them a little bit differently today. I'm going to steam them in butter, which is not unusual for me. So I've got some baby carrots here and I've washed them, and what I want to do is I'll just cut off the stalks so we have a better idea what we're doing, and I'm just going to cut off the ends of them. I'm just going to put them in there, and they're being washed. There is no need to peel them because these little baby carrots are so tender that they're not going to get stringy or tough. Just make sure they're thoroughly washed, so there's absolutely no dirt or clay on there. Just pile them in there. And these little ones are going to cook a lot quicker, these little baby ones, but I just think it would be such a shame to throw them out, so I'm going to put them in there. I've got some Brussels sprouts. And I love Brussels sprouts. I know a lot of people don't, but so with the Brussels sprouts, we're just going to cut the end off them, and I think a lot of people don't like them because they're not cooked properly. So in the bottom, I want to cut an X in the bottom. Be careful again not to put that knife through your hand. And what that does is it helps cook the bottom of the Brussels sprout at the same time as the top is cooking, because the top is a lot softer. And so you don't get these hard bits. And Brussels sprouts go so well with pork, because traditionally Brussels sprouts used to have, or has, diced bacon, sauteed diced bacon poured over it with a little bit of diced onion. So this kind of knits in quite well with the pork. We're going to do it in separate pans because it has separate cooking times, and we don't want to mush them. So there you go, our Brussels sprouts are there. Putting that aside. And then we've got our beetroot. And again with the beetroot, I'm just going to do it the same way. These are baby beetroots, so I've just thoroughly washed them. And what I'm going to do is just going to cut the bottom off them, and I'm just going to put them over here on the other side. And these are beautiful little beetroots. And they'll take just a little bit longer, but when we're steaming that butter in there, It'll actually help cook them quicker. Perfect. Now, I've got about 150 grams of salted butter. I've got 300 mils of water, just enough to cover the bottom of the pan and no more. I don't want to boil these vegetables. I just want enough vapor, enough steam to circulate around there and steam them in. It'll evaporate the butter and the butter will steam into the vegetables. Got some pepper, got some salt. Cover an aluminium foil into the oven, 40 minutes. So now my confit potatoes. Now anything that's confit is cooked in fat, and I'm using duck fat today. Duck fat is such a fantastic product, adds so much flavor and can now be bought in the supermarket really easily. So what we've done here is we've peeled our potatoes and we've turned them so they all kind of resemble the same shape. Not necessary, but it's always nice to be able to do it. We're just going to put them straight in here into a dry pan. And I've got my melted duck fat here and I'm just going to pour it over it. And what's going to happen here is them potatoes are going to soak up that duck fat, and the duck fat reaches a really high temperature, so it'll crisp them up beautifully. I'm going to put these into the oven for 40 minutes. I'm just going to add a little bit of pepper. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. And when these potatoes are done, you can take out, drain off the duck fat, put it into a container and put it in the fridge, and we can use it again because you don't want to waste it. It's such a fantastic product. If you're ever cooking duck and you have all that duck rendering left over, put it aside and keep it for one of these days when you can do some confit potatoes. So our pork is done, and at this point it's really important to let it rest for at least 20 minutes just to let all them juices just settle down. So as we can see here, you can hear the crackling, and it's just turned out beautifully. And our veggies are done and our potatoes. So let's transfer this onto our board. All that fat is rendered out from the pork, and it's also key to note that pork should be cooked well done. So I've got my Brussels sprouts here, and I'm just gonna put them all in there, and they've sucked up all the juice from that tray. Sucked up all that butter. Got my carrots here. Just put them on there. They're just beautiful and tender. And our confit potatoes, you can see that they're beautiful and crispy. They'll have so much flavour in them from that duck fat, but there's also duck fat still in the pan. And that duck fat can be kept, put in the fridge, and can be reused. And now our beautiful beets, you can see that they're all cooked up beautifully there. So there you have it, roast pork with crackling, confit potatoes and steamed butter vegetables. If you enjoy our videos and you'd like to support us in the future, please consider joining our Patreon group. There's some awesome extras, Q&A sessions, our upcoming cookbooks and some unseen videos. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please comment down below any videos you'd like to see in the future. Hit that like button, the subscribe button and the bell icon. And we'll see you soon.